What up, YouTube? It's your boy Penny. Let's one checking in with another video. What am I getting ready to do today? Well, I'm gonna put this video on the members only page. Members only. So if you're not a member, you won't see this. You'll probably see the thumbnail, and then you click play, it's gonna say become a member. So what I'm doing today, as y'all know, I've been making custom AC hoses. So I started out making the number 6 line, which is the hot liquid high pressure line, and I incorporated a trinary switch in that line completely out of standard barrier, you know, AC hoses, the rubber hoses, and mainly for the purpose of triggering my cooling fans with the trinary switch. So that was the purpose of me starting that. Started doing that. I made mine, and then I had a couple of guys that showed interest, and I started making them. And then that evolved to me making the 8 hose, the 10 hose, the complete kit. So here we are today. What are we? 5 months in, 6 months in maybe. I think I started somewhere around end of April going into May, and we're here in November, a couple weeks from Turkey Day. So what I got is a kit, or some parts that I'm even finna use to make a kit for a setup just like what you see in miniskirt. Mid mount, SD7 sanding compressor, cutlass condenser with the fittings on the passenger side, and the stock accumulator slash dryer, whatever y'all want to call it, on the Monte Carlo with the big port or the big connector on top. So that's the setup I'm getting ready to make. Is for a customer who has this exact setup in his vehicle. So I'm making this kit for him. So I'm gonna walk y'all through the process. So let me show you the parts that I got, the tool that I'm gonna use. I'm gonna show you how I crimp it, how I measure, cut, and crimp, and then I'll show you the final product, and I will have it installed loosely fit so I don't damage the O-rings for the customer. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so for starters, these are the fittings and the hoses that I'm using. I don't know if I mentioned it already in the intro, but this customer chose reduced barrier hoses. What that means is these hoses are smaller than your standard barrier. I'll show you comparison later, but all 3 of these hoses are smaller than their standard barrier counterpart. This is the number 10 hose, this is the 8, and this is the 6. So here is my setup. Holley Mid Mount, sanding SD7, factory accumulator slash dryer, and I've got my cutlass condenser. Let me take this off. Cutlass condenser with the fitting connections on the passenger side, because as you know, Monte Carlo, that condenser fittings are over there. So to keep everything nice and tidy, go with the cutlass condenser to put all your fittings on this side. So let me show you the tool real quick. Let me put this radiator cap back on. I forgot I was about to top that off. I'll do that later. And this is the tool that I'm going to be using to make these lines. It comes in this nice little case. I'll put a link in the description for this one or one like it. So this is how it comes. It's a hand hydraulic pump crimper. This is the unit. You got your open and close button. It comes with some nice hose cutters, which are actually pretty decent. It comes with a bunch of different size dies for mini size fittings, from 6 all the way up to 12, I believe, size 12. It comes with some instructions, and it comes with extra O-rings for the pump to replace that. So yeah, not much to the kit. They do have this kit without the handle, and it has a stud or a bolt, or what do you call it? Yeah, a stud on there with the hex head that you can actually use an impact or a socket, a ratchet to crimp it versus hand pumping it. And then they have one that has the handle that has the actual hose to where you can mount this in the vise just like the ratchet one, and then you can crimp it off the side. But this one was designed, in my opinion, to be used on the car so that you can make the lines if you had to on the car without doing it on the bench. That's why I chose this one. So in the future, I may get the one that I can mount in my vise. So, all right, well, let me get set up here on a tripod, and I'll get started with the first hose. All right, I think I'm gonna start with the number 6. That one seems to be the, no, actually, you know what, let's do the number 10. Let's do number 10. So I've been on the fence. So I have 2 fittings for the 10 coming off the compressor. So initially I was gonna go with a 90, and that puts the hose going down, and it needs to loop around and come to here, right? But because the heater hoses are there, unless you go with the 90-degree fittings on the bottom of the water pump for this setup, the heater hoses are going to be a problem for the number 8. So, and then you have to clock the number 8 like this. Let me put it on and I'll show you. You have to clock the number 8 like this, and then you got to clock them both, right? So if you go with the 90-degree fitting and move these heater hoses, then you can have them going straight down, because there's enough room to get them to go down to the frame and then curve and come back. So the 8 I will keep like that so I can clock. The 10, however, rather than going with a 90, we're just going to go with the straight coming off the dryer, off the compressor, excuse me. And then that way the hose will just go here to here. Now I'm trying to think, did I say I was going to get a 90 or a straight? I think I said straight. Okay. So then we're going to put our straight fitting on the accumulator. So we got straight to straight. I'm trying to think, did I say 90? No, I said straight. Okay. So from here to here, that's not a big distance, but should be okay. Now I do have a short hose just to test it, and this is some leftover hose from the last kit I made. So it's basically going to go like this, but this hose isn't long enough. So that's clean, out the way, straightforward. So, but this hose that's the number 10 reduced barrier, but it is only, how long is that? This one is about 14 and what is that, 5/8. So I have a 2-footer right here, or 3 foot, I think that's what I ordered. So we'll stick this in here, just mocking it up right now before I cut. And then you'll have, so I'm still trying to decide, because it'll work, I just don't know if I like the way it looks. That's my problem. So from there, I'll cut it right here where it will bottom out in the fitting. So what I typically do is when I'm running on the fly, I'll just put my finger there and I'll grab my cutters, and I'll just cut it right there. But since I'm doing it for the sake of the video, I'll put some tape on there. But so you want to make sure you get your orientation right on this hose. That way you know, well, and this, I'm trying to think, does it matter since these are straight? No, it doesn't matter because both of these are straight fittings. But when you get to your 90-degree bends and all that, you want to get your orientation right. Because on this one you can rotate, you can move the hose. You can actually move the fitting. See, it swivels before you tighten it. So this one doesn't really matter. But for the sake of mocking up, see how the hose has a natural curve. So I'm trying to see where I want to cut it to make it look right. Let me double check something real quick. All right, I'm over here brainstorming actually. So I put the 90-degree back on the compressor, and I think we might be okay. So we can do the 8 like this, and then you see how I got this one going down, loop, and back up like this. My battery cable is in the way, so obviously you want to put all this stuff on before you start putting the rest of the car together, because I can relocate my battery cables, but I think on his car he doesn't have, let me look at the picture he sent me. Yeah, he's got the battery in there already. So let me try to see. Okay, he doesn't. No, he's got way more room. His cables are smaller. That's why I got these big old 2-gauge battery cables. So yeah. And these are out of the way. So it might be all right to do it how I'm looking at it right now. Let's see. So the 8, I know I can go ahead and cut that. And like I say, when I crimp this 90, the orientation does matter. So service port lines up with the letters, the white letters on this. So let me go ahead and cut it so that I can stick it in here and get a reference. So we're gonna cut this right here. That's the 8. Okay, there we go. This actually would be neat if I had some hard line. I can actually bend it. That'll be dope, but this will work. So the 8 is in. I'm gonna mock it up before I do any crimping, in case y'all wonder. Now on this one, matter of fact, see, I don't want to tighten the fittings because I don't want to bust the O-rings. Yeah, that's gonna be okay. Have them both going down. On a 90, we're gonna rotate that one like this. But it's rubbing the frame though, we don't want that. So I might cut it a little bit more so it'll bring it up some. Yeah, to bring it up some like that. Let's do that. Let's cut it right here at the R. Okay. All right, yeah, that's good. That'll bring it up off the frame. So you're not rubbing, you're floating. Okay, we got the 8. Now this 10, let me stick it under my battery cables since mine are in the way. Oh yeah, there's plenty of room. Those cables running away. And then we'll cut it. Nah, I think I'm gonna go with the, dang, that looks clean though. I probably, well, there's not enough room to run a 90 off of this because it won't have enough room to go up like that. All right, let me figure this out and I'll cut y'all back on in a second. All right, so I think I got something figured out here. So we're gonna run with the 10 like this for now. You see how the 8 goes. Comes here, goes down. It's not touching the frame and it just comes up, goes into there. Now we just need to do the 6. So what I'm gonna recommend, I recommend getting the Cutlass accumulator / dryer. I'll put a link to one in the description. I'll pop a picture up on the screen right now because that's the same one we put on my buddy's Colin when we did his AC on his Monty. Because this connection on the Cutlass one, and on some of the box Chevy ones too, but this connection is right here. So you'll be able to take this line and mount it basically just like that and have it laying on the fender so it's not sticking up like that. It'll be just like that. And you can put a clamp on there to keep it in place. So I'll let the guy know, I'll let this customer know the same thing. It'll work with this one. It just looks better if you get the other dryer because that's actually the one I'm gonna get. So that's why I made it a little bit long. As you can see, it's got the nice little bend, so that way it's not sharp. So if he does get that other dryer, this will be able to reach it because it literally comes out right there. So we're gonna roll with this for now. I'll go ahead and get it crimped up. These are 2 straight fittings, so the angles don't matter, but on this one it does. So let me mock up the 6 real quick. Now on this one, I'm putting a trinary switch in line on the 6. So this is the splice, and then here's the trinary switch. I will include instructions for the trinary switch. There's many ways you can wire up a trinary switch. You can have a ground trigger, you can have a 12-volt trigger, your preference. The instructions I'm going to send you is a PDF. Well, if I email it to you, it'll be a PDF. It's the vintage air instructions, or if I ship this to you, I'll print a copy and include it in your package. So let's get the number 6 mocked up and we'll cut you back on. All right, so number 6. So number 6 comes off the evaporator core. So I got a 90. Got a 90 for that. And the reason well, I gotta make this just in case this one does go here. Gotta make sure I got room for the 6 so it's not too bulky. Here's the number 6 hose. Put this in here. And on this one, you also have to pay attention to the orientation, since this is a 90 and this is a bent hose. So leave some slack in it, but you can have it go like this and follow this little groove right here. Because believe it or not, if you have the factory 6 line, it's a hard line that comes around and it bends and it goes right down this groove. So leave some slack for it like that. And then, matter of fact, let me put the fitting on here so I know where to cut it. I got my caps on here to try to keep moisture out of the dealio. And this is just a straight, I don't know if y'all see? Yeah, y'all can see. This is just a straight fitting into the condenser, number 6. And I actually don't need to measure this. Well, not on the car, because I have my measurements for the one that I've been making, but this looks, oh, that looks so much clean. Yeah, I'm gonna do mine like this too. So let's see how much slack I need. This might be just enough. Let me see if I stick it in there, see how if it kinks. Yeah, it kinks just a little bit. So we'll cut it. It'll be raised up a little bit off of there. Let's cut it right here by the 5/16. Okay. And we'll check orientation here also in a minute. Oh yeah, that's gonna be player. Oh yeah, because this thing angles down anyway, so that is player. That is player. As long as I get my orientations right when I crimp them, I don't screw nothing up. My fuel line is in the way. I gotta redo my fuel line. I don't like the way it is. Okay, but this one here gonna be fire. Yeah, heck yeah. Once he gets this down here, that way nothing is up in the air, man, that's gonna be clean. That's exactly how mine gonna be. Heck yeah. All right, and I can crimp them right here since I have the hand tool. So like I say, I don't think this matters. Let me see, because this is straight. If I take it off, yeah, it don't matter. You'll be able to bend it however way and put it on there. Okay, so we'll start with the 10 as far as the crimp goes. So let me get the right die set up in the tool, and we'll go ahead and get the number 10 crimped. There go the first one. So let's put it on. All right, this might be a bad angle, but I have to plug the camera up. The battery's low. So that's the next thing I need to get is some more batteries. So I got it plugged up to the power source. So the number 10 reduced barrier is crimped. So we'll put that on the compressor. Put this one on the accumulator dryer, and like I say, this will go here if he gets the cutlass dryer. So that's on. Don't look bad. It'll clear the hood and everything, because my factory one was way up here. So that'll work. Now let's do the 6 let me see where I'm gonna put this splice. I'm gonna bring, dang, I can't bring y'all over here. Let me mock up the 6 real quick and put the splice in there. And then I guess I could put it like right here, since it's gotta go to the, no, the sensor's gotta go in. Let me put the switch on there. Cut y'all on in a minute. Man. All right, so sorry to cut y'all on so late, but I went ahead and crimped this one because I had to hold it in place so I can make sure I get the right orientation of this hose. So you can see I got a good crimp on it, and I got it laying on the fender and down into that groove that I was telling y'all about. So now I just got to mark. I'm gonna mark this in the same way. I'm gonna put 3 lines so that way I can keep the proper orientation. I don't think it matters because that's a straight, but I don't want to mess this up and have to go and have to not go, but have to because if I mess it up, then it's going to be too short. Then I need to cut another piece of hose. So let me mark that with my Sharpie, and then we'll get that one crimped up. I'll show y'all that one and mark it for the trinary switch. I always make the hoses a little bit longer than they absolutely have to be. That way the hose has some flexibility and bend. So here's my switch. I'm gonna put it right here so it'll be close to the wires coming off the box here. And then this wire here, you can actually tie it to this if you want, or zip tie it and have it running along here to go into the compressor. But like I say, once this is laying on the fender well, if you get that other dryer, the wires will be out of sight, but you still want it going up. That way you can actually take it off. So I'm probably going to try to put it like right here so it'll be a flat. So it really don't matter on my first cut. I'm going to cut this side first, crimp this over here, and then cut this side. So we'll put it, yeah, we'll put it like right there. So let's cut it first, and then I'll mark the orientation. So we're gonna cut it right there on the A. Yeah, let's cut it right on the A on Galaxy. Or what about the G? Yeah, we can cut it on the G. Cut it right at the beginning of that G. Cut it right there. Just try to get a square cut. Okay. And then we're gonna put this in line like that. And now we can, well, that's gonna mess up my angle, ain't it? It'd be all right. But now we can, well, actually, let me see. If I put this in like that, it'll raise it up a little bit, but so we'll cut it a little bit. Let's see. First, let's cut it right here and see how that looks. And then what I'll do is I'll write these measurements down so that when I get to make my next one, I'll already have my measurements. And I can just measure and cut. I don't have to mock up. Okay, almost. Maybe a little more. Oh yeah, a little more and that'll be perfect. Yep, so let's cut it the length of that fitting. It's not rocket science, but I mean, you do have to, oh yeah, that'll be good. Oh yeah. You do have to be precise to an extent. All right, so I think that's how I'm gonna do it. See if I can bring you in real quick before I take it off and crimp it. So this is what we're looking like so far. Number 6, trinary switch. You see the crimps. See it's hugging the fender liner and into the condenser. You see the crimps. So now let me mark this number 8 one because I got to mark this for orientation, how I have it so that it curves the way it is right now. So let's get that one marked up, and I'll go ahead and crimp. I'm gonna crimp this in first, because the straight end, like I said, straight end don't matter. Crimp the 91st. All right, so you see I got the number 8 on there right here. See, it goes down, got a nice little bend right there, comes up into the condenser. That looks real nice. So service ports, high pressure, red cap, low pressure, blue cap. So there was no need to put anything on this line or this 6 line for service. You can put on your 8, because that's how it comes from the factory, and then on the dryer. You could put one here, but that's just putting it in the way when you already got one right there. Now, if you wanted a second service port, you can get the fitting with the port right there. But let me show you on my stock cutlass line that I had. This is exactly how it was. See, so it's got the red one. That's the same way I got it right there. And then there's no other service port on that big one. It's just a solid line. So that's how we got it. Good to go. So, all right, so big dog, I got you squared away. I'm gonna send you a text message here in a minute. If you wanna meet me, pick up your goods. You are squared away. The only thing that I recommend is you get the cutlass dryer. Like I said, I'll put a link to that in the description of this video, and I'll put a picture up on the screen, because with the cutlass dryer, the connection, this connection right here, will be right there. So your line will lay just like that, and everything will be laying on the fender liner. That looks a little bit cleaner. So, yes sir. Well, all right, y'all, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope that gives y'all a little bit of insight on how I make these custom hoses. So if you're interested, you can direct message me on Instagram or Facebook. You can pull me up under Penny LS1, or if you got TikTok, same thing, Penny LS1. I'm trying to set up an email address, but somebody stole my email. Somebody already registered pennyls1@gmail.com. Go figure, because I was trying to set that up the other day, and I'm in the process of setting up a business phone line. I just don't want to give out my personal cell phone to everybody. So once I get all that set up, I will definitely let y'all know. So thank you again for rocking with your boy. If you've watched this video, that means you're already subscribed. You're already a member. I do appreciate it. If you need anything, let me know. Until next time, Penny LS1, holla at your boy.